Okay, now we're gonna continue on our first Pong game. So what we're gonna have to do is movements for our Pong game. So first, this ball is going to be a bouncing ball movement, obviously. So movement, and we'll choose bouncing ball. Okay, now we have bouncing ball. And let's try that to see if that's a good speed for it. Yes, that looks like a good speed for now. Now what we need to do is we're going to have to add a movement to our active. This will be an 8 directions movement, and then we'll change our directions so that it can only move up and down. So now if we test our application, we can see the ball's bouncing. It doesn't bounce off of anything yet. And then we can see if we use our arrow keys, the bumper will move up and down, but it won't move in any other direction. Then we can see if we go over to the event editor now, we're going to have to go over to, first I'm going to rename these objects so that we can find them in the event editor. We can call this bumper, and then this ball, we'll call this the ball, and then we have background. We have the background gradient, and then we have our wall. Okay, so now let's switch over to the event editor. I'm gonna go to frame 1, and then we'll choose event editor. Now, so the first thing we need to do is we'll deal with our ball. Our ball needs to bounce off of the bumper. It needs to bounce off of the top and bottom, and it needs to bounce off of the right wall that we made. So first we'll add a new condition. If the ball collides with a backdrop, then we want it to bounce. And now we'll have to make sure that we set our wall. Our wall is a background object, and we need to make it an obstacle so that it can be bounced off of. So now we have the ball. If it collides with another object, and that would be the bumper object, then the ball should also bounce. And then if the ball is gonna leave on the top or the bottom, we're gonna select these two. If the arrow pointing out, this means that it leaves on the top, and this means that it leaves on the bottom. We're not going to let it leave, so we press OK, and then we want it to bounce. So then we have one more thing to do. If the ball tries to leave on the left edge, then we want to reset the ball at, let's choose some coordinates. These look like good coordinates. We can see that we're going to reset the ball at this point here. So I'm going to press OK. Now if we test our application, we can see that the ball is bouncing. And then we can, oh, we lost on that, so now it's going to keep going. Now we can bounce it off of our object here. See, this is a little bit hard, so because the ball is going up and down so much. So one thing that we might want to do to change this is change the initial direction and not allow it to go in these directions or these. Oh, we'll have to change it. Messed up there. We're gonna have to change it so it doesn't go in these directions. Or these. Okay. So now if we test it, let's turn our randomizer down here. Okay, now let's test it. It should be a little bit better now. We can see that we're bouncing it off. See, now we have our own little Pong game that we've made. One more thing that we might want to do is see that this bumper can leave the frame. We might want to make it stop when it gets to the top or the bottom. So I'm going to close this, and then what we can do is go into the event editor and just say if the bumper position, we're going to test the position of the bumper. If it tries to leave on the top or the bottom, then we're going to stop it. So now let's look at all our events. We have if the ball collides with the background, which is the wall, then the ball will bounce. If there's a collision between the ball and the bumper, then the ball will bounce. If the ball leaves the play area on the bottom or top, then we'll make the ball bounce. If it leaves the play area on the left, then we'll have to reset it because the players lost the game. And then if the bumper leaves the play area on the top or bottom, then we want it to stop. So let's test our application one more time. Okay, so now we see that the bumper, if we try to move it to the bottom, then it will stop. That's all for our